Game of Thrones calling Arya a Mary Sue is the dumbest GoT opinion on the internet. GameSpot. We and our partners use cookies to understand how you use our site, improve your experience and serve you personalized content and advertising. Read about how we, now playing Game of Thrones, where is everyone at the start of Season 8? Warning: this post is completely spoils Game of Thrones Season 8, Episode 3. If you haven't watched the third episode of Season 8, upended expectations that have been building throughout the entire run of the show. The attacked winter, the big left turn. It wasn't Jon Snow or Daenerys who wound up killing the Night King in the final battle. The pair have been Arya leaping through the air to bring down the scariest baddie in all of Westeros seems like a clear choice in retrospect. After all, she's been training in the art of being an underestimated, small fry killing machine for literally years at this point, but that didn't stop some people on the internet from taking issue. In the aftermath, if you're unfamiliar with, it's a term coined way back in the 1970s from the world of Star Trek fanfiction. In 1970, lately, the wider usage of Mary Sue has evolved to be any character who's always just good at everything and who seemingly has no flaws. The author insert, so calling Arya a Mary Sue is saying that she's more of a plot tool than a character in the battle against the Night King, while implying that she's the sort of character who is good. Nobody has earned their skills in Game of Thrones the way Arya has. She has literally, Arya earned her killer skills through observation, hard-won victories, and brutal training. She practiced her. Obviously, Arya isn't a Mary Sue, and to throw the term around in relation to this week's episode is a complete misunderstanding of her character and the work that has gone into her story, the events that happened in the Long Night, and the term itself. There isn't a character. Need more Game of Thrones? Check out a
raindrop, truck top, top smoking, no cooking the hot pot. Fucking on your bitch, yeah, that. Looking up, open the park pot.